Thank you for joining us for the news at noon. I'm Ashley Grams. Our top story, a man died in police custody last night after he allegedly stabbed someone in North Portland. Police say they responded to the stabbing just after 10 o'clock at a convenience store on North Going Street and Interstate Avenue. The person who was stabbed was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Shortly after that, officers found the suspect and say they handcuffed him without using force, but moments later they say he lost consciousness. Officers said they began CPR until EMS arrived and took over. Despite their efforts, the man died. The cause and manner of the man's death haven't been released. And later this afternoon, Oregon lawmakers will gather for what's expected to be a brief special session. They're voting on bills to fund the cost of this year's wildfire season. The money would help the Department of Forestry and State Fire Marshal's office pay outstanding bills and reimburse them for some personnel costs. Veteran firefighters say our wildfire seasons have gotten much worse in recent years.
When I first started responding to large-scale conflagration fires, one theme was consistent. We went to Eastern Oregon. Slowly, we started responding to Southern Oregon, and then we saw an increase in large fires in Western Oregon.
The federal government is expected to eventually cover more than half the cost of fighting this year's fires, but Governor Kotek and state lawmakers want the money to go out now. Meanwhile, ODOT says it now has enough funding to start construction on the I-5 Rose Quarter expansion project. The agency set aside $250 million, now paired with existing funding and a federal grant for a total of $850 million. That's short of the estimated $1.9 billion total price tag, but enough to get the project going. ODOT says it wants to start construction next summer. The goal is to widen I-5 through inner northeast Portland. Chris McGinnis joins us now for a look at the forecast. Chris, you talking about some snow today?
Yeah, check this out. East Gorge out towards the Dalles. This is up just a little bit at Oregon's Veterans Home in the Dalles. You can see light dusting out there. The temperature has come up to 34 degrees. Elsewhere, as we check out some of the roads in that part of the state, I-84 is fine down on river level, but you get up out of the immediate, Columbia River Valley and up just a little bit in elevation. We still have some snow coverage. US 97, Highway 20, obviously hopping over the Cascades in the Sisters area. That's got snow and temperatures in the low 20s. So just be aware of that if you're traveling out there. There's been some snow. Denise Graham enjoying a walk, a pre-sunrise walk with her pooch, and it looks like you can see some footprints there in the snow. It's just a little dusting. Also chiming in, Stacy Taylor out with her pet early this morning for a little walk, and there you can see again a little light dusting. That winter weather advisory continues for elevations off the gorge floor until 7 o'clock tonight for some intermittent light snow. But again, temperatures are beginning to warm out there as well. It's 40 now in Troutdale. It's 40 at PDX. And the big perspective here, we're in the low 50s along the Oregon coast. Rain still falling at the lunch hour here in downtown, but I do anticipate that easing off a little bit. The breeze, though, out of the east. And what that's going to do is keep temperatures fairly steady on the chilly side in the upper 30s to low 40s, I think, across the metro area for the remainder of the day. We are looking forward to our next rain and wind maker. Not a lot of wind, but more rain coming our way tomorrow. More on that in a few minutes.
Thank you, Chris. The St. Helens School District's new communications consultant resigned after it was discovered that he was convicted of embezzlement earlier this year. The consultant was recently hired to help manage the district's ongoing sex abuse investigation. Catherine Cook has more.
How will you prevent this from happening in the future?
Parents giving the St. Helens School Board an earful again. This time over this man, communications consultant Tom DeLapp.
The investigation will determine what we knew, when we knew it, what we did about it, and when we should have known about it.
KGW interviewed DeLapp last week about the district's ongoing sex abuse scandal. It's what administrators brought him in to do. But on Monday, DeLapp resigned after the district learned he's a convicted felon found guilty of embezzlement in California.
And it comes up with the embezzlement information. I'm like, how does the school not know this information?
St. Helens parent Gina Stotts says she's the one who discovered DeLapp's conviction while doing background searches on all district officials.
Why would you trust somebody that just got arrested in February for embezzlement to be a communications PR person for the school? It doesn't make any sense. Why aren't you doing your due diligence as a school district and looking in these people's backgrounds?
I had to do the background check. You should be doing your diligence.
The St. Helens School District contracted with DeLapp through the Northwest Regional Education Service District. The ESD tells us they didn't run a background check on DeLapp because he was working remotely and not directly with kids. They also shared this letter from DeLapp To the St. Helens interim superintendent, he wrote in part, "My continued presence will draw too much negative publicity and undercut the credibility of your efforts to improve the reputation and trust in the school district." Parents say it's too late for that.
That's not smart. You do a background check on everybody when you're in a position like that.
It's like another slap in the face. It's like it's hard to even put into words because what is going on? Why are these choices being made?
The district's sex abuse scandal has been unfolding in St. Helens for weeks. A current and former teacher were arrested on allegations of sexually abusing students for several years. The high school principal also faces charges for allegedly not forwarding reports of sexual abuse. All three have pleaded not guilty. After Wednesday's board meeting, district officials declined to talk with us. Parents say they won't stop speaking out.
It's really sad because it's almost like we're being taken as a joke, and it's not a joke.
In St. Helens, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
A Northwest Portland restaurant is suing the city for $2.4 million because of its odor code. According to the lawsuit, Vietnamese restaurant Pho Gabo says it was unfairly targeted with multiple inspections and fines over cooking odors and was ultimately forced to shut down back in February because of it. In October, the city amended the code to exempt restaurants, and the new rules take effect in March. The city of Portland is facing a $27 million budget shortfall next year, which could mean cuts to programs and jobs. The city blames the shortfall on low property tax revenue. They say less money is coming in because so many properties are either sitting vacant or have lost their value since the pandemic hit.
And when those are growing 1% like they did last year, it's really hard to make the math work out such that you can be adding anything and not cutting. And so the hope is that property taxes have hit the bottom, and then we'll go back to the more 3 to 4% growth, and we can kind of move on from this low point.
Leaders will start deciding next month which jobs and programs will get cut, and the public will have a chance to weigh in at the end of February. Changes are coming to Multnomah County's Preschool for All program. Starting next school year, the program is expected to have a seat cap. The program was passed by voters in 2020 with the goal of providing free preschool access to everyone. But under the new seat cap policy, half of total open seats at any program site can be reserved for kids who are currently attending that school. Some parents are concerned this will mean their kid could become unenrolled from their current school, but the county says it's not as big of a threat as it may seem.
There are 3,000 slots that are allocated for the upcoming school year, at least. And of those 3,000, only 6 have chosen to reduce their slots because of this policy so far. We save the revenue, and we invest the revenue each year to expand our Preschool for All capacity.
The goal is to have universal preschool for most Multnomah County kids by 2030. PGE is warning customers to be aware of utility scams. They say over the past 2 weeks, customers received a text message urging them to pay their bill or risk being disconnected. PGE says this is a scam. I actually got this text earlier this week. PGE will never ask customers to pay their bill with a prepaid card, digital payment app, cryptocurrency, or via direct transactions with your bank. They say you should be suspicious of urgent threats or anyone pressuring you to make a payment.